Hello. I said I would send you a video explaining credit cards and which ones I think you should get. So this is that video. So, all right, I think you can see. Yes, you can. All right, so the things that you should consider when getting in a credit card are the annual fee. This is how much you're gonna pay to even be able to use the card. These are subject to change, so that's worth noting. But most of the time they stay static for a pretty long time, and if they do ever change, it usually comes with some new things anyway, so they usually will increase the annual fee, but they might give you some extra stuff that comes along with it. So but they usually stay the same for like years at a time, so it's not something that you should it's not like every month they might change. But so yeah, the annual fee, the points that you get for spending, this is just like your everyday point accumulation and how much they give you. The sign-up bonus, this is a one-time thing. It usually comes with you have to spend a certain amount on the card to get it, like in the first 6 months or whatever. And then the extra, every credit card, or most credit cards at least, have something that they give you, and they're kind of all different, so I'll explain briefly the cards that I recommend and what extra they get. So the Amex Gold is the first card that I recommend. The second one is the Capital One Venture. I remember you said you didn't want Capital One, but I don't remember why. And I think that the Capital One Venture is too good of an option to not at least mention. And then the Bilt Blue card. So the annual fee. Oh shoot, I wrote that in the wrong spot. Whatever. Okay, annual fee. The Amex Gold is $325. The Capital One Venture is $95, and the Bilt Blue is $0. So you can see I kind of gave you some options here. The points that you get for the Amex Gold, you get 4 times points on food. All food. That includes restaurants and dining. That is, spoiler alert, really good. And the $325 annual fee, the reason that I think that that's still an okay annual fee is because 4 times on food is a lot. Also, the Amex Gold is gold, and so it looks, it kind of looks like a flex card. It gives you 3 times points on flights, 2 times points on pre-booked hotels, which I don't imagine you would really be staying at a hotel that you weren't pre-booking. Not pre-booked just means like you walked into the hotel with no intentions of staying there and decided to book at the counter, which most people don't do. And then 1x points on everything else. The Capital One Venture gives you 2 times points on everything. Pretty good, pretty great. I remember you mentioned that you just want one card that you can use everywhere, and to get a 2 times on everything card, a lot of them are pretty damn expensive. Like Bilt has a credit card that you can get 2 times points on everything, but it has a $500 annual fee. So 2 times points on everything, even though you said you didn't want Capital One. Oh, I didn't write one. Capital One, 2 times points on everything for a $95 fee is pretty great. And you can just blind reach for it anytime you want on anything that you want to buy, and it's always going to be there to get you 2 times points. And it's going to give you 5 times points on, I think it's like hotels, reservations, and rentals, car rentals. So I really don't, you might use the hotel, but I don't even really know what vacation reservations are exactly. Car rentals are obviously car rentals. I don't think you'll use this too often, just like I don't think you'll use the flights and hotels too often. To get a lot of value out of those things, you kind of have to travel a lot, and I don't think you do enough. The Bilt card gives you 1 times points on everything. And then it gives you 4% or 4 cents, depending on how you look at it, in Bilt cash, which is kind of its own thing that I'll explain more in the extra. I don't know, it's not that complicated to use, but there are just lots of different ways you can use it, so explaining all the options is not the most straightforward thing. The sign-up bonus. The Amex Gold gives you 60 to 100K in sign-up bonus if you spend $6,000 in the first 6 months. So $1,000 a month. That's kind of high in my eyes. I don't know how much you typically spend in life, but if you were to use this and that does seem a little bit high, I would wait until you have a purchase. You know, maybe you're just like buying a $200 pair of shoes, or I don't know, like a new laptop. You might want to wait to get this card until you know for sure that you can spend that $6,000 in 6 months in order to get the 60K to 100K. How you know what you get between the 60 and 100K? 60K, I would never sign up for this card if I was getting 60K. A lot of the time you just need to Google like a special link that you can use to sign up for this card, and you can pretty much guarantee at least 80K. 100K is pretty tough to get, but sometimes you can get it. The Capital One Venture card gives you a 75,000 point sign-up bonus after you spend $4,000 in the first 3 months. So that's actually higher per month than the gold, but it is less overall. So again, if you just have one big purchase that you know you're going to do, I would wait until you are about to need to make that big purchase before you sign up for this, so that you can guarantee that you'll get the sign-up bonus. And then the Bilt Blue gives you by far the smallest, which is just $100 in Bilt cash, which, like I said, I will explain in a second. So the extras are the Amex Gold gives you over $400 in a coupon book. Now, these are kind of difficult to use, or kind of difficult to get the full value out of, because it's a bunch of just random things. Like it gives you $10 per month in Uber, $7 per month at Dunkin' Donuts, and like a $50 Resi credit. And Resi is like an app that you can use to book dinner reservations. And as long as you pay with the card, it'll take the money, or it'll charge your card with that amount, but then usually after a few days, your account will be credited with that amount because it recognizes, hey, he's using his sign-up bonus. Now, these expire every month, at least the Uber and the Dunkin' Donuts do. The Resi credit, I think you have 6 months to spend it. And then it has a bunch of other different coupon book things. So I'm not explaining all that. I don't think you'll get the most value out of that, but it is kind of fun that every once in a while you can just take a look and see, hey, you know, am I going to get any value out of this? And you can get some free stuff. The Capital One Venture gives you $120 value in a global entry. That's like a TSA pre-check, but global entry works for the entire world, but it also works for the US as well. You don't have to go internationally to get global entry. So that's pretty valuable. Again, only $95. So if you value that for the times that you fly, that's pretty good. And then also you get a $250 travel credit with Capital One. I've heard that this can be a little bit tedious. Like sometimes you look to see if you can use the travel credit at a certain hotel, and then you find out that you can't. But for the most part, I think that if you wanted to, you could definitely use this credit pretty easily. And actually, I should have mentioned this in the sign-up bonus, because this is just a one-time thing. And then the Bilt card, the extra, is really just Bilt cash, because, okay, let me see. So Bilt cash, you can kind of redeem it for the same thing as like the coupon book. And since you're accumulating 4% per purchase in Bilt cash, you do start to accumulate a decent amount. You also get a $100 sign-up bonus in Bilt cash. And sometimes these are very arbitrary things. Like, for example, you can spend $200 in Bilt cash to get a $5,000 doubling in your point accumulation. So if you spent $200 in Bilt cash, you could redeem that to then get 2 times points for your next $5,000 that you spent on the card. So the Bilt cash is, there's tons of different things you can do. You can also like redeem Bilt cash to get $10 in Uber per month and things like that. Like, there's lots of different ways you can use it, but it's kind of all gravy because, you know, it's a pretty high bonus, and it's just getting you on top of the 1 times points on everything. So you might be thinking, the Bilt Blue, that seems terrible. I mean, only 1 times point on everything. The Capital One seems like the most easy to use because, you know, you can just spend it and get 2 times on everything. And the Amex Gold is great for food and flights, I guess. But it's pretty dang expensive, and the coupon book seems a little bit difficult to use, is kind of what I imagine that you think. And it's really up to you what all this means. If you want to guarantee that you will get value out of a card, the Bilt Blue is not costing you anything, so it's a pretty good option. The Bilt Blue is also a MasterCard, which is accepted everywhere. The Capital One Venture is Visa, which is accepted everywhere. The Amex is Amex, which is accepted at like 98% of places. And internationally, if you do want to go to any different countries, Amex is not always accepted. Internationally, it's pretty hit or miss if it's accepted, but these two will be accepted everywhere. Amex is also not accepted in some random places, like at Goodwill. The other day, I tried to use my Amex card, and they said they don't accept Amex. So, take for that what you will. But yeah, this is definitely, the Amex Gold is a card that I think you can keep for life. The 4 times points on food is just so good, and you will always spend a decent amount of money on food. That it's a card that you can keep in your wallet forever, and you're never going to need to upgrade. The Capital One Venture and the Bilt Blue, if you do get to the point where you're earning like 6 figures in your career, there are better credit card options that I would suggest you upgrade to. But given your current income and expenses, I would say that these two are really the ones that you should be considering right now. So the Amex Gold, from the simplicities standpoint, you're kind of setting yourself up to have a card that you can use for life, whereas these two, you're kind of just taking the next step in your journey. And now let me explain a little bit as to why I even included the Bilt Blue at all in this list, because to me, it seems pretty obvious that like the Bilt Blue is getting the least amount of value, even given that it has no point accumulation. But its value comes when you look at what points are, because all points are not created equal. So points can be redeemed as cash directly, which is usually the least valuable. Holy hell, I'm just gonna put a $sign. Cash or points can be redeemed directly as cash, which is the least valuable way to redeem them. Usually when you redeem points as cash, you get like 50 cents, or you get half a cent per point, which is not very good. So let me just say 0.5 cents per point. But it is the easiest way to do it. You can just send it directly into your bank account. But if you were going to redeem your points as cash, I would just get a cashback card. So I really don't recommend doing this ever. You can redeem it as travel in their in-house travel portals, which is, it gives you decent value. It usually gives you about 1 cent per point, maybe a little bit higher, and is okay as far as like ease of use. So I'm just gonna say okay use. Or you can redeem them to travel partners. So these credit card points are pretty universal in that you can redeem, you can send them to all these other things. So like if you travel with Air Canada and you have an Air Canada account, you can build up Air Canada points within that own ecosystem. And they tend to be pretty valuable. The same is true with lots of other airlines, with Delta Airlines, with Virgin Airlines, with all kinds of things. And those in-house points tend to be more valuable than using the credit card points in the travel portals that the credit cards have themselves. So to get the most value out of your points, which I'll just say most value, you can usually a lot of the time get about 2 cents per point. Which, I mean, if you use these cards throughout the entire year, you're going to be getting tens of thousands of points. So you could turn, what would be a $500 flight with the in-house into a $1,000 flight, which would mean that you can probably get like a first class flight. And it's not that complicated to do. Each credit card will tell you what their transfer partners are. So, Amex will say, hey, you can transfer these points to Delta. But getting the most value, you can usually just Google like credit card transfer partner calculator, and there will be a website that will show you flights that are coming up, how expensive the flights are and their points, and then also you can filter out, you can decide if you get the Amex or the Bilt or the Capital One. You can start from the beginning and you can say, hey, I have an Amex card, show me only travel partners that Amex uses, and show me flights and how expensive they are to see if you could do. So this is definitely the way I would recommend it. Even if you only travel like once or twice a year, you can end up getting like, a trip that would cost like $1,000 plus for free just in using your cards throughout the year. Now, those are the different ways to redeem the points in and of themselves. But also each card, the value of their points is a little bit different. Bilt has the most valuable points. They have the most valuable transfer bonuses. So sometimes they'll say like, hey, if you transfer these to Delta, we'll actually give you, instead of just transfer the points directly to Delta, we'll give you an extra 25% in Delta points if you transfer to Delta. Bilt does that more than any other card. Also, they have really good partners, like they partner with Alaska Airlines, which is under United Airlines, and no other credit card partners with United. So Bilt is definitely a super valuable ecosystem to be included in. And you might be thinking, well, I can only get 1 times points on everyday purchases. But one thing that Amex and Bilt have is you can use Rakuten, which is a super easy to use browser extension that allows you to get your cash back, but instead of cash back, you can actually elect to get them in Amex or Bilt points. You can't do Capital One. You actually can't do any other credit card. It's only Amex and Bilt. And so, like I said, Bilt has the most valuable points, and if you're only getting 1 times points, you're getting the same multipliers with Rakuten, no matter what your card is. So this is pretty much just like a free way to be getting Bilt points through Rakuten. And Rakuten will allow you to get 2 times points all the way up to sometimes 15 times points at different stores. And it's a browser extension, so you don't even really need to do anything. If you want to buy a pair of Nike tennis shoes, you look up Nike. When you click on the Nike website, it will already pop up in the top corner, hey, Rakuten is having a promotion right now where you can get 7 times points on Nike. And yeah, 7 times. And that varies for a lot of things. You can also just straight up use Rakuten like you would Amazon. So you can just click on the Rakuten app and search for things in the app, and it will show you all of the different stores that they partner with. And they partner with really big stores like Macy's and Adidas and Best Buy. It really covers everything that Amazon would. And so that is a huge way to, as it's called in the credit card field, supercharge your points accumulation. So, yeah, hopefully that kind of gives you an idea. The Amex card is an expensive card that you can keep for life. The Capital One is really easy to use, and yeah, I mean, it's just a great card. It doesn't include you with the Rakuten stuff, and it's also has less valuable points than Bilt. And then Bilt is a very risk-free way to get into the credit card point system. You can start to learn a little bit more about Bilt Cash. Actually, if you end up being at the point of your life where you're paying rent or a mortgage, Bilt can actually end up getting you points on that as well, but I would worry about that later on down the road, and it gives you Rakuten points. So it's up to you what you want to do. I think hopefully I didn't over-explain this. If you do decide that you want to use any of these cards, I can explain a little bit more about what the extras mean. And if you do decide to go with Amex or Bilt, I can explain a little bit more about Rakuten, but I think I already did. It really is easy to use. You just make an account, and then from then on, all of your online retail purchases, you can get tons of points for. So that's basically it. Yep.